My Life and Ethiopia's Progress, Chapter 44. Our Journey from Koräm to the Warfront at Maytchäw. While we were at Koräm, enemy aircraft would come over daily, making repeated turns to and fro from 2 to 9 o'clock, which is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Western reckoning of time, dropping many bombs and much poison gas and causing harm to our army. The army officers who had taken the offensive on the Tambian front had fought there with valor and discharged their duties. In the end, they were defeated by superiority of bombs and weapons and had dispersed. We then sent for them to join us. We reached Koräm on the 10th of Megabit, which is the 19th of March 1936 in the Gregorian calendar, at 8 o'clock at night, which is 2 a.m. in Western perception of time, and were reunited with us. While the principals were His Highness Ras Kasa Haile and His Highness Ras Seyum Mangesha, with them were the Jazmach Mangesha Yalma, the Jazmach Wan Bawasen Kasa, the Jazmach Abera Kasa, Sahafe Teizaz Afawok Bajarand Let Yebelu Gebre Kegnazmach Denhe Walde Mariam Fitarari Zudu Abakoran and other officers. On Thursday, the 11th of Magabit, which is the 20th of March 1936 in the Gregorian calendar, we heard that the Italians had passed Amba Alage and were encamped at Maytchäw. We decided, therefore, to take the guard of honor which had been waiting with us as rearguard, as well as the army which had returned from the front, and to go to fight, with ourselves as leader. We thus set out from Koräm at 2 o'clock in the evening, which is 8 p.m. in the Western perception of time, and proceeded towards the war front at Haile. As the night was dark, we directed the army to prepare torches, and we marched by torchlight, and since the road was narrow, the march took many hours. Having marched in this fashion, we spent the day of Megabit the 12th, which is the 21st of March, at a place a little beyond Lake Ashange, which was suitable for protection against aeroplanes. And marching again that night, we reached the district called Haile. On this day, enemy aircraft dropped many bombs and were spraying ypirite poison that was flowing like water. Thus the terrible death that came upon man and beast was most distressing. The day of the 13th of Megabit, which is the 22nd of March, we spent encamped at Haile upon an arid amber, a place that was suitable for observation of aircraft. At 2 o'clock in the evening, which is 8 p.m. in the Western perception of time, we assembled all the army officers and chiefs and explained to them our plans as regards the battle tactics and the order of muster. After this, we directed them, on their part, to express their view in what manner the waging of the battle might be improved. The great officers present on this occasion were His Highness Ras Kasa, His Highness Ras Seyum, Ras Getachew, the Jazmach Wanderad, the Jazmach Walda Emmanuel, the Jazmach Adafaso, Ligaba Tasu, Fitarari Ashenafi, as well as other captains and army officers who served under them. The officers consulted and then presented to us the following unanimous opinion. Death is an inheritance that cannot fail to come over all of us. God has assigned to us the day, and if we are victorious, then we shall have saved our independence. And if we die, then it will be for our country, for our death will be reckoned as martyrdom. It is a great good fortune to die having struggled with the enemy, making the approach to battle overnight. Let us meet the enemy at dawn. After we had listened to their speech, we said to them, whether we die or live, it is for our country. All we are concerned about is lest our country should die. We then informed them that we would be marching towards the war front at Batawayo to spend the day of Megabit 14th, the 23rd of March, on that arid amber of Haile. On this day, the chiefs of Chacha came with rifles and ammunition which they had received from the Italians and expressed to us the following sentiments of loyalty. It is because the Italians had told us, "Your king is not there," that our hearts were divided. But now that we have seen you with our own eyes, we shall die fighting for our country's freedom with the arms we received from the enemy. And we warned them, saying, "Do you realize that the lies which the enemy is telling you are apt to destroy you and your country?" When it was 12 o'clock, which is 6 p.m. in the Western Perception at time, on this day, we departed from the barren amber and marched through the night. We camped at the Batawayo cave. This place is vis-a-vis the Italian encampment. When we were at Batawayo on the 15th of Megabit, which is the 24th of March, enemy aircraft spent the day going to and fro and dropping many bombs. At 6 o'clock, which is 12 noon, a large aeroplane arrived and flying low over the place where we were, dropped bombs. From our side, a machine gun volley was fired, and it was hit and set on fire. Emitting smoke, it fell beyond the Dubar Pass. The Italian radio confirmed that the plane was burnt together with its crew of 4. We stayed at Batawayo, preparing military plans from the 16th to the 19th of Megabit, which is the 25th to the 28th of March. On these days, enemy aircrafts went to and fro in great numbers and dropped bombs and poison gas. Every day, as a result of our soldiers' fire, these planes were seen to be burning and to emit smoke, going towards the Chacha lowland. On the 19th of Megabit in particular, one of the aircraft that had come over was hit by an open gun and came down near there. After that, many aircraft arrived dropping bombs and poison, and as a result, many people were killed and injured. On Saturday, the 19th of Megabit, which is the 28th of March, we summoned the army commanders and gave them the following guidelines. It is necessary to be resolute and to eschew vengeance even when going to hunt a wild beast, let alone for this present decisive great battle against your enemy. Young men facing war, you have seen that God has condemned any irresolute soldier in the past, for it is worthless doing things only on instruction and orders, fearing that God will condemn one, rather than doing one's duty wholeheartedly. If one flees, not having acted resolutely, there is only death. Fight fiercely, lest the freedom of your country of Ethiopia and its flag should be obliterated and torn to shreds. For it is to him who acts decisively and intrepidly that God extends his help. If you break the oath, death is surely bound to occur. Do not die having ruined the honor of your soul and your body. To claim, "My officer has fled or has died, I have to carry an injured body," is not really motivated by compassion for the injured, but to fabricate a refuge for his frightened heart. When an officer dies, is not a soldier who has to become an officer? If God favors us, do not hasten to quarrel over property, for Ethiopia's existence is our property and wealth. If you find a foreigner, a wounded prisoner, do not finish him off with the dagger, pistol, or explosives in his hand, except if he tries to harm you, for having him as a prisoner may help us to find out the enemy's secrets. If a servant gets separated from his master, troops from their commander, this means the beginning of flight, so recognize it as the enemy of myself and of Ethiopia. Should befall the rest of our army for lack of precautions, we transmitted to them the orders set out here below and divided into 8 paragraphs. 1. It is at 2 o'clock in the evening, which is 8 p.m. in the Western Perception at time, that you are to depart from your camp to the place to which you have been ordered. 2. When you march at night to go to the battlefront, you are to follow the way which your officer will show you, but you must not shout to your friend and sing war songs, shine a light, or blow a trumpet. The reason for this is that if the enemy were to hear your voice, he would harm you by waiting for you in a state of preparedness. But if you were to launch an unexpected attack upon him before he hears or knows about it, our enemy would be greatly hurt. 3. Take care lest our enemy, appearing to be fleeing, should induce you to enter in the midst of his fire, where his machine guns are positioned on all sides. While wary of the enemy's ruses, and before you pull back, fall on your enemy, leaving him when he tries to lead you on, and going to his flank. 4. We have to be dedicated to destroying completely the enemy who has now invaded us, as he has set out to extinguish altogether Ethiopia and her people. By killing just one man before the battle ends and going back exhibiting him as a war trophy before the enemy's defeat is known, is bound to hamper our war effort and say, for me alone things have gone well. You are leaving your friend on his own and exposing him to enemy attack. Thus the trophy will not be counted in your favor if you return in the morning claiming that you have been successful. 5. Since for the Ethiopian people the chief possession is freedom, do not hasten to pillage things before you have defeated and put to flight the invading enemy who has come to destroy that freedom, and before you have caused him to abandon his position. If you plunder him and he then takes it back, what benefit will you have derived? A man who takes away the enemy's property in order to ensure for himself the permanence of the possessions he has taken has first of all to destroy the enemy to prevent him from returning and snatching things back. 6. Having spent the day fighting, and if perhaps on one occasion you did not manage to win because the enemy has been too strong for you, you have to fight fiercely until we send you support troops, but you are not to turn back until you are told to withdraw. 7. A rocket signal will be given on Adimoshash to indicate open fire. 8. Especially when men of rank are found, they are to be taken prisoners, to the extent that it is possible for you, since it is through the evidence of prisoners that the enemy's secrets and strengths are found. Except, of course, if the enemy threatens you with pistol, hand grenade, or dagger. 19th of Megabit 1928, which is the 28th of March 1936 in the Gregorian calendar. Afterwards, we divided the strategic order by which we were going into battle into 4 groups, and, adding the troops collected from various officers, we arranged that one group be directly commanded and led by ourselves, and that the remaining 3 groups be led by 3 commanders, that is, by His Highness Ras Kassa, by His Highness Ras Seyum, and by Ras Getachew. The part commanded and led by ourselves direct was divided as follows. At the front, the corps of the Guard of Honor under Kegnazmach Makuria Banti Irgu and his deputy Grazmach Kefle Irgatu. On the left, the corps of the Guard of Honor under Grazmach Abera Gezu. On the right, the corps of palace servants and footmen under Kegnazmach Belhu Degafu. At the rear, the corps of palace guards under Dejazmach Adefursu. We directed them to be placed in battle position. The 3 groups led by their respective commanders were divided as follows. On the center front, we divided in the following manner the men mustered on the central front under the command of His Highness Ras Kassa Haile. Ras Kebeda Mangesha with his men. The Mahal Sefari Corps commanded by Legaba Tassau Walelu. The army of the Ministry of the Palace commanded by Fitarari Ashanafi. The army of Basu Angola commanded by Dejazmach Gezu Jima. The army of the Ministry of Agriculture, Dejazmach Abera Tedla attached as direction guide since he was a native of the district and governor of Maytchäw. On the right wing, we divided in the following manner the men mustered on the right wing front under the command of His Highness Raseyu Mangesha, the Corps of Schneider rifle carriers, the army of Walega Arjo and of Walega Gerdru, the cavalry, the contingent of Like Mekwas Haile Mariam Walde Gabriel, the artillery corps commanded by Kegnazmach Walde Johannes Walde Ab, Fiterari Tefari Tedla, attached as direction guide since he was a native of the district. On the left wing, we divided in the following manner the men mustered on the left wing front under the command of Rasketachu Abata, the army of Kambata, the army of the treasury and stores, the army of the Ministry of Finance, the army of the Post and Telephone Ministry, commanded by Kegnazmach Tekle Marcos Walde Gabriel, the excellent rifle bearers commanded by Kegnazmach Abebe Rade, the army of the Master of the Horse commanded by Kegnazmach Bayena Bella Ne, the Jazmach Haile Kabede, attached as direction guide. Other than these, the spiritual fathers who had followed us to help with prayer and supplication, Abuna Petrus, Bishop of Wallo, Ichage Gebre Georges, Like Gebre Christus, and Like Tekawent Gebre Ab. We arranged that they be mustered together with their retinue of priests, with the group where we were. Among princes and nobles, the following were assigned to be close to us for consultation and the transaction of essential major affairs. His Highness Raskasa Hailu, His Highness Raseyum, Fiterari Beru Walde Gabriel, the Jazmach Wandirad, the Jazmach Wan Bawasen Kasa, the Jazmach Abera Kasa, and Ato Walde Georges Walde Johannes. After we had arranged that the organization of the battle order and the strategy of approach be conducted in this manner, a sign was given to our army that would serve to distinguish our side from the enemy forces during the battle and in course of communication. The password was that when someone said, "To whom do you belong?" the person questioned was to reply to him, "To Abba Takel." If he asked him, "What does Takel mean?" he could not be trusted to be in my army. He was to say, "The power is God's." If the person in question replied to him with this password, he could be believed to be from our side. But if it was impossible for him to reply thus, then he would know that he belonged to the enemy army, and he was to regard him with hostility. Besides, we issued a precautionary password to the guard officers who had been ordered to look after the arms and ammunition, equipment, and property which remained in the Batawayo cave. If perchance our army should be defeated, have the arms and equipment set on fire, lest they should fall into enemy hands, as soon as we send you the sign. This message is, our God has not departed from us.